This influencer claims that Kurt Cobain was transgender. This is gonna be a long video. 3 things I want to get out of the way real quick before we hop into this juicer. 1, I have nothing against transgender people or the community. 2, leave a like and subscribe. Most of you are not subscribed and most of you don't like my videos, so please consider doing me a favor. And 3, last year I was in the top 1% of Nirvana listeners, and I do have to say I've done a fair share of research on Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. So when I saw this video, this influencer disrespecting the dead Kurt Cobain by claiming they were trans, I feel like it was something I just had to talk about. And yeah, with all those disclaimers out of the way so I don't get cancelled, let's hop straight into the video. So the influencer we're going to be talking about in this video goes by Lily Tino, and they're pretty much known for going to restaurants, recording themselves, and then having their waitress or waiter misgender them. And of course they're not asking them to do that, but that's what a majority of their content is. It's what gets them views.
Hi, I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir. Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Okay, the sweet water starts at, okay, I'm
so sorry, I apologize.
It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time. I was wondering if there's a manager I could talk to about something that happened. Yeah, I was called sir. Oh, okay. It just really sucks every time it happens. I don't need to be called ma'am. I just need to not be called sir, you know?
Now, I feel so bad for this creator, you know, it's pretty messed up that they can't be gendered correctly when they're out in public. Of course, not everybody's gonna get it right, but still, like they said, a knife to the heart really does suck. Regardless of how far this person's come in their journey though, it does not give them the right to say Kurt Cobain was a trans woman. That is, how do we put it, fucking absurd. Here's the video.
I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans. Here's why. First off, Kurt wore a lot of women's clothing. And when asked about this, they replied that they wore dresses all the time because they felt comfortable and free. Just look at Kurt in these pictures. They look so happy.
To debunk their first point, I'd just like to point out that Kurt Cobain was a fashion icon. Whatever Kurt Cobain put on, he put on the big flannel shirts, the ripped jeans, the fucking dresses, and it became the fashion statement because it is Kurt Cobain, of course, we're talking about. Now, when you have millions of dollars, a very successful band, and you've won multiple Grammys at this point, pretty much succeeded in life if you're Kurt Cobain, wearing a dress and performing a concert meant little to nothing to the fans at the time because, well, they were there to hear Kurt Cobain's shrieks. Either way, to claim that because Kurt Cobain wore a dress that made him trans, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, and there's a lot of ways you could argue against that, like Kurt Cobain dressed mostly masculine, so that makes him a man, right? Well, yeah, no shit.
And in an interview about their childhood, Kurt said that they mostly hung out around girls.
Are you even aware of what time Kurt Cobain grew up in? Like, oh my god. The reason Kurt Cobain hung out with mostly girls is not because he was transgender, rather that if he was hanging out with dudes, he couldn't relate to them, he couldn't have a good conversation with them, and Kurt Cobain is a known feminist. He pushes for women's rights, and a lot of the men at the time, well, they couldn't give less of a shit, I imagine. Oh, and yeah, he was bullied by these guys, because back in the day there actually were high school stereotypes. There were jocks, nerds, geeks, and Kurt Cobain was a nerd and a geek at the same time, who happened to be very good artistically.
And that at one point, they thought they might be gay.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop interrupting so much, but everything this person is saying is just making me feel like they're absolutely mentally insane, because either they know nothing about Kurt Cobain, or they do know about Kurt Cobain and they're purposely spreading misinformation. Kurt Cobain thought he was gay at a time because he was called gay. He was called slurs that mean gay, and he was bullied. So he thought these things. Of course, he ended up not being gay, and he said that in an interview, I'm sure of it. But, you know, people will push their agendas. It's just really fucked. He can't even defend himself.
Many trans people who don't have the vocabulary yet to express their gender identity will describe what they're feeling as being gay. That's exactly what I did in middle school. Kurt is also quoted as saying that they identify more with the feminine than with the masculine. This is clear proof that Kurt did not identify with the gender they were assigned at birth.
Okay, I just can't with the nonsense that's coming out of this person's mouth. Kurt Cobain identified and hung out more with females than males because he was an advocate for feminism. He made a song called Rape Me, which was advocating against rape. And if he hung out with girls, they're a lot less likely to do terrible things like put Kurt's head in a toilet or throw him off a cliff. The only thing that's clear and cut that you've proven so far is that 1, you don't listen to Nirvana, and 2, you know absolutely nothing about Kurt Cobain. I said it already, but Kurt was a feminist. He liked women more than men because women are a lot less inclined to do horrible things like rape and murder compared to men who are much more inclined to do those terrible things. Then again, you would know that if you even watched one Nirvana interview, right? That's what I'd hope, but clearly not.
And the most convincing evidence that Kurt was trans was in an early version of Nirvana's All Apologies lyrics, where Kurt wrote, "Let me grow some." That is clear-cut gender dysphoria. And of course, Kurt will never be able to tell us themselves, but the evidence makes it pretty obvious they were trans. That might be why Kurt's no longer with us. Maybe Kurt knew that we weren't ready.
Nah, I was holding back the whole video, trying not to say the most diabolical things about this creator, but no way in hell did they just say this is why Kurt Cobain's not on the planet anymore. Holy shit. Lily Tito, or whatever the fuck your name is, go seek psychological help. If this creator actually listened to Nirvana or knew anything about Kurt, they would know that Kurt Cobain's lyrics mean close to nothing, and Kurt was known for being a lazy writer. Hell, I even watched an interview with Kurt Cobain where he claimed that he made most of his lyrics the day of or the day before just because he's lazy, and honestly, I understand that, that's reasonable. And when you listen to any songs off the Bleach album, you can tell that the lyrics are nonsensical and it's just Kurt wailing for most of it. But hey, Kurt Cobain's not here to claim they're not transgender or defend themselves, so who am I to judge? Who am I to say they're not trans? No, fuck that. If you're gonna say stupid shit like Kurt Cobain's transgender, you better expect some fucking backlash. Kurt was an icon and someone that I've looked up to in my life. And to see that people are becoming so deluded by the internet to where they can just post stuff like this and make outlandish claims about public figures, people that changed rock and culture in general forever. It's just, sickening. But yeah, if you disagree with me and think Kurt Cobain was trans, go ahead and comment your opinion so I can argue with you. If you enjoyed the video or made it this far, I love you, honestly. Comment down Kurt Cobain and I'll heart your comment. And that's all I have to say on this topic. To this influencer, I already said it, I hope you seek help, I hope you delete this video, and I hope you make an apology, in fact. Disrespecting the dead is one of the most disrespectful things you can do on your time on planet Earth. And if Kurt Cobain was still around, I'm sure he'd be laughing at your video at 50 years old. RIP Kurt Cobain, like, subscribe. See y'all later. Stay blessed.